What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Common Sense Living, the show where we discuss financial and economic trends, business topics, gold and silver, and much, much more. So, today I want to discuss the glaring weaknesses in the CPI statistic, which is used to measure inflation. And I also want to discuss an alternative method or methodology we should be using and why I don't think it's being used. Now, I have questions around the CPI, and like so many people, I want answered. Like, for example, one question: why is this statistic still being used? But let's get into the weaknesses. So, most people know CPI, it's a lagging indicator, it measures a period of time with the price changes. But in my opinion, we really need to be using something that measures changes in real time. Now, we have the capability to do this now more than ever when you think about it. So, for example, we could be using scanner data from the grocery store to measure things like food price changes. We don't need to rely on surveys, people going out and doing surveys. Now, for other data, we can be using online data, say for example, to see price changes in other goods. And you could argue there could be some challenges with this, such as, a sale, say for example, normally something's priced at $10, somewhat, they have a huge discount and it goes down to, $6. But there's definitely workarounds, there's ways to deal with this. Statistically wise, you can kind of cap those numbers and floor them, and you can also, if you've got enough data, then it's really not going to be an issue. Now, it's my personal belief that the reason that they're not switching to more real-time data at the Fed is that they don't have the capability, they don't have the skills to do it. um, Everyone at the Fed has pretty much been trained the same way. They've gone through master's, PhD program. So when it comes to doing research, contributing to economic literature, they're skilled at doing that. But when it comes to coding and handling big data, that's not something they want to get into. And we definitely see that that's been happening. Now, I think the former Home Depot chief executive officer said it perfectly when he said there was just too many academics in the mix there. They don't have real people who have real business experience. And when you really think about it, one of the reasons that they're not going through and they're not trying to update their methodology is they just don't have competition. They've got a monopoly on the whole situation. See, if a company begins falling behind and they're using older methodology and the profits are going down, then they're going to have to adapt. They're going to have to pick up that new technology. If they don't, they're just going to go out of business. So that's my feelings on an alternative. Now, I want to talk about another weakness, and a lot of people are aware of this with the CPI, but the CPI takes into account changes in the quality of goods and substitutions. So what this means essentially is if I go out every week and I buy filet mignons every week for 25 bucks and the price goes up to $35, and as a result I substitute my good, I buy uh, flank steak or something for $25, the CPI is not going to account for that price change from 25 to 35 for the filet. They're just going to essentially keep it at zero because it's both beef and I'm just substituting my good out. Now, to me, I find this almost borderline funny that they're changing the good when you're buying something else. And I'm really clearly not, understanding why they can defend this methodology. It makes really no sense. Now, another phenomenon that I know a lot of that has been talked about the last year or two is something as in shrinkflation, and I think most people are aware of this. So, for example, you know, you go out and you're buying cereal, and it's $5 for 12 ounces of cereal, and then you go out next month and it's $5 for 10 ounces of cereal. So essentially, the manufacturer is just shrinking the size and just keeping the price the same. And then the CPI is not going to factor in that amount, the changing amount. Now, I want to talk briefly just about why the government likes low inflation. So CPI statistic, it runs inverse to GDP typically. So a decrease in CPI should theoretically raise the GDP, and that can be interpreted as the economy doing better than it actually is. So government's going to definitely like that. And also, when you think about programs, there's a lot of programs that are tied to that CPI number. So Social Security has a cost of a living adjustment, and then your Treasury inflation protected securities tips, those as well. Those are tied directly to the CPI. So the lower the number, the lower the payment needs, the lower the payments the government has to make, the more room they're going to have in that budget every year. So that's all I got for today. Let me know any other thoughts you have on, um, the CPI, any other alternative method that would be good, any other weaknesses I potentially that I that I missed. I'm sure I missed a few. Appreciate the time. Thanks. Please comment, like, subscribe.